Voice ready? Hello, hello, guys, and welcome back to the Thinking Out Loud podcast with myself, Marcia Wu, and my bestie, Ashlyn Little. Today is our third podcast, and we're going to go over a topic that we get asked a bunch and something that's very prevalent in our industry, which is a breast augmentation and the pros and cons of it. Doesn't matter when competing. How do you know what size to get? How do you know what type, what profile? How to choose a surgeon, our experiences post surgery and the recovery, and of course, that one question over or under the muscle. So, a bunch of questions on this topic that we would love to go over today. But I just want to catch up with Ash a little bit. So, how have you been, love? What have you been doing? How's life? I saw you went to the Drake concert.
Good morning,
That's really what
everyone.
I want to know.
Except it's not good morning for you. It's good morning for me. It's not good morning for you because you're in
Good
Dubai.
evening.
But yeah, we actually have to coordinate like literally the times because hers is night and mine is morning, which is why I always have a wonderful morning voice here in Florida. But everything's been good. I did go to the Drake concert. Yes. Dude, that was freaking so much fun. Like he actually put on a really, really, really good show. And um J. Cole was there, which he talked a lot. It was kind of weird. He did perform, and they did some songs together and stuff, but he actually talked a lot, which I thought was like, I don't know. I was like, okay, we're here for Drake. I'm just kidding. No, it was
Rude.
fun. No, I do like J. Cole. I like his music. It was fun. He's also a very good performer. And I did like how they engaged with the crowd and stuff. Like it wasn't just songs and like zero engagement. They did engage. Um, so I thought that was pretty cool. But yeah, we had a freaking blast. And he was here Friday and Sunday. Obviously he needed like a day to recover, I'm sure. So he didn't do it back to back. He did it Friday and Sunday and he rented out the Edition. I don't know if you know what the Edition is, but
Mm-mm.
it's like a super, super nice like hotel. They have a fancy like rooftop bar and a restaurant and stuff, but like people live there also. So people rent like penthouses and they have like they buy, condos and stuff, but then it's also a hotel. So it's kind of like all in one, like restaurants, there's like a club area, there's like a rooftop bar, which I've been to the rooftop bar and I've been inside the restaurant, but I didn't actually eat in the restaurant. But it's really cool. But anyways, he rented it out. So basically, unless you lived there, you couldn't get in, or unless you were staying there at the hotel. So that's where he was the whole weekend. So it was cool. We had a blast.
That sounds so fun. I know after I saw your stories and posts, I was literally looking, okay, where's he going on next on tour? Like, what states is he going to? Like, I legit want to go to a concert now. It's just a Drake concert. Like, if I had to choose any, it would be Drake.
Yeah, well, like I listen to a lot of music, but it's usually like I won't listen to like one artist like their entire album. There's really only like a couple like artists that I'll listen to every single song that they have, and like I really like, his music, and I've always liked his music from like literally from day one. So the songs that he was playing, it was cool because he played like day one songs. So and then
Yeah.
of course he played like, the newer stuff too. So it's just cool cuz like I know that I don't really have a lot of artists that I get to like really kind of grow with them as they grow as an artist. So for me to be able to like do that with him, that's why I really wanted to see him, because I know like all of his stuff. So
I
it
I
was
think
it
that's
was
why
cool.
he's so good. It's like his throwbacks are so nostalgic. I'm like, yeah, that's the middle school dance I was jamming to. That was high school. That was my first boyfriend. Oh, that's when I started prep, like that hardcore song. And then I was like, oh, those are the sad songs during my breakup. I'm like, Champagne Poppy, you've been through everything
Champagne
with me.
Poppy. That's so
You
funny.
know me.
I know, seriously. I mean, it's crazy because like in the crowd, people were literally crying their eyes out. Like,
Oh my God.
and I'm not even kidding you. I was even getting emotional because there were some songs that were coming on that I'm like, oh my gosh, I remember like exactly what I was going through whenever this song came
Yeah.
out. It's crazy. So it was
Okay, I
fun.
need to go. Well, if you're down for round two and I'm in America at the same time, we're going. It's happening.
Hey, I am always down for a Drake concert for sure. But
Okay,
yeah, if you
okay,
guys
we're doing it.
are ever like looking for like if you guys like Drake and you're looking for a good show and like just a good concert, he's a very good performer. He's like money like well spent. And to be honest, the tickets weren't expensive. When they first announced that he was going to be here, the tickets were not expensive. But we waited to like a week out to buy them, so obviously they were more expensive. Because we weren't really sure if we were going to go or not. And then last minute I was just like, yeah, let's go. But definitely worth going. But other than that, I mean, just been chilling. I'm still in off season. I've been in off season since I stepped off the Olympia stage. Um, I got asked, I get asked frequently if I got I can't
Invite.
think right now. If I got an invite or if I applied to go to the Arnold, and I did not. I did not apply. I wanted more
Mhm.
time in between the shows. So, yeah, I just want to be able to be, 110% going into like any show that I go into, moving forward. So just been eating and
Eating
training.
and growing. That dog.
Yes. Yes. So
The
it's been good. My
glue.
macros are freaking so high right now. It's amazing.
Yeah,
But I do have to get
I was like,
like
are you
blood
eating a
work and
lot?
stuff done.
Standard, standard.
Yeah, I
So
got to get my about
do you
it.
guys have like a ideal time frame, or is it just kind of tabled right now?
Um, I know we kind of want to push it till like August, September. Like we're trying to like push it like as
Okay.
close as possible. So most likely those 2 months I'll be competing, but I mean, if there's an opportunity for me to jump into a show that's sooner, I think the earliest I would jump in would be July, but it would have to be like, for a legitimate reason, and my body would probably just be like, okay, I'm ready. But we're trying to push it, as close as we can to the Olympia cutoff. So we'll just see. I mean, nothing's set in stone yet.
I think though, even like it goes to show the last year when you had so much time off was really the best for you. You came in with such an improved package, and it's like, why rush it when giving another month in an improvement season, or another month longer prep to do that show where you're 100%? I feel like it's just key.
Yeah, I mean, anyone that is listening, it's like that's going to be the most important thing, and it's so hard. Guys, it's so hard. It's hard to stay away from the stage and like be in a body that you're
Hmm.
not like, obsessed with. It's like, I have my days. Like I really do. I have my days where I'm just like, oh my God, if I was prepping myself, I would already probably like try and prep. I'm not even kidding you. Um,
Yeah.
it's just how it is, but it's not smart. It's not smart to do that. I got to be strategic right now. We have one goal, and our goal is to get into the top 5 at the Olympia right now. And
Hmm.
there's nothing I'm going to do that's going to get in the way of that. Um, so that's why I have Cash, is so he can keep me grounded and keep reminding me of my goals and keep telling me like, this is why, like, this is the importance of it. So, um, you know, I can one I told Cash, I was like, okay, once we like reach our goals, we can, have a little bit more fun, compete a little bit more, but I have a goal right now, and that's the goal.
Yeah.
So right now it's just grind time, focusing on recovering health, and that way, I can knock out whatever shows I need to and then bring my best for the Olympia. Like that's really, the only goal right now.
I love it. I mean, that's a true athlete, and you're just staying focused on what's important, not dabbling in just wasting time or wasting shows. Like you're focused. You've got a goal. I love it.
Yeah, and I think it's important to have like something strategic until you reach those goals. I mean, the same thing with my athletes. Like if they're like, I want to go pro, then I'm like, okay, then we got to be strategic and do
Hmm.
strategic shows and make sure that you're improving, make sure you're taking the time to grow. like, especially if they have some weak areas or, whatever we need to work on, I always try to remind them, I'm
Yeah,
like, I know you want to compete. I know you don't like being, on the fluffier side. I know it's hard. But it what's more important to you? Like, you got to sacrifice. If things are important to you, you got to make sacrifices. Period. Like, there's no if, ands, or buts. Like, you can't have your cake and eat it too when it comes to these things. You have to be strategic, and you know it will come. But yes, good things take time, and you got to
yeah,
be willing to take the time and put in the work. And the reward will be so much better if you just like allow yourself to do that. And because you've been taking the time off, fill us in on what you've been doing.
exactly. It's just what you're saying. I'll piggyback off of that. Is I think our generation is so used to instant gratification. Instagram, Google search, like everything's at the click of a button. So bodybuilding really tests everything that society goes against. It's believing in the process, trusting the process, and patience. And that's, obviously what I'm doing as well. I think we touched on this in our first podcast. Been in improvement season, and just started prep in January. So it's just been a few weeks now. And really I'm just trying to find my groove right now. And to be honest, I wouldn't say like lost, but I've been kind of in like a weird funk. And I think I always go through something like this when I transition from an improvement season to prep. And I'm sure you feel the same. It's that segue and that transition into getting locked in. Don't get me wrong, in my improvement season, I'm, ticking my boxes and whatnot. But now that I'm in prep, I'm like, okay, I have X amount of sessions until I hit the stage, X amount of cardio, X amount of meals, yada, yada, yada. And I'm just trying to find, that groove and consistency and routine. So I've been kind of adapting to a new plan, not been kind of, I am adapting to a new plan. I have a new coach. I'm highly debating
Are
if I
we
announce
are
it on this
we
podcast.
I'm like, are we talking about new coach right now? Because I would love that.
I'm like, do we do this? Is this the time?
I
Because
think it's
Ash knows everything.
I think it's the time.
It is time. Okay, our TOL podcast fam, you heard it first. I am now being coached by Cash. But
Yeah.
I think anyone would have seen that coming at one point or another. If I were to change coaches, it would be with Cash. And really, I don't know how many people are going to hear this, but for me, I'm just gonna dive right into it. My fiance and I were, he was coaching me and whatnot, and it was going great. He peaked me in my last show. We did a reverse and whatnot, but I've been down this road before where my significant other coached me, and it's not a matter of if I listen and I'm diligent with a plan. It's more of being able to separate from the relationship and coaching and having that us time and not having it overlap with coaching. And we had a talk, and we just came to an agreement that I and he would much rather have him as my support system, my number one support, instead of my coach. And I just think for me, because of how um indulged I am in this industry, in this sport, it's so consuming of me that I do need a little bit of that separation when it comes to my love life and my downtime. And I need that little bit of balance. So, I've decided that going forward, I'm going to be with Cash. And we had a nice little, actually, it was like a 2 hour chit chat of, where I'm at. Cash has seen me through all of my shows, all of my competitive pro shows. He knows how serious I am. And I think that's always the hardest part, is letting a new coach know how serious you are, how committed you are to your goals. And I think a lot of the time, athletes that go from one coach to another try to make sure that they can prove that I'm a good athlete, that you can push me, that you can take me far. But with Cash, it's like he already knows that. He sees me at shows. He knows, obviously, I'm best friends with you, Ash, and he knows like both of us have that drive and commitment to the sport. So right now, he has me um doing different training that I absolutely love, different exercises that I haven't been able to do in years. And that's got me excited. Right now, we don't have any shows planned out, just tentative game plan of okay, pushing till we're ready, and then we'll decide, what shows look good for my time frame of where my physique is at. But yeah, that's the big news.
I am obviously freaking stoked, and you're gonna have so much fun underneath him. He's amazing, which is why I, chose him and wanted you to, interview him and kind of see what you thought. Um, but yeah, I mean, you have to also think about this because I was also coached, by my ex-husband, and it is tough when it's different if like you guys have time apart, like he goes to work or you go to work,
Hmm.
and you guys are separated for hours, and you guys have other things to focus on other than bodybuilding, and then like that's just a little piece of it. It's so much different.
Yes.
But when both of you guys are coaches, both of you guys are, living in it and so submersed, like you were saying, like all the time, to have that time to be separated and have like, instead of being your coach, like you want him to be your fiance and things like that. It's tough because it's like
Uh,
it's hard to flip that switch. It's hard to be like, okay, like I need you to be like my um significant other right now. I don't need you to be my coach right now. And sometimes that can get in the way, and it's tough. I knew it was I mean, I went through it and it was tough for me. And he coached me for about 3 years.
mhm.
So it was hard. I mean, I personally don't recommend it. I just, it's just something that did we make it work? Yes. Was it hard? Yes. Was there a lot of fights? Yes.
Mhm.
And I did feel pretty neglected on, being a wife. Like I felt like that there were a lot of things that he wasn't doing at that time because he was too focused on, and stressed out about my success, and very like, wanted to make sure
Yeah.
that he wasn't doing anything wrong. And then, sometimes he would take things a little bit too personal whenever, I didn't get the placing that, he wanted me to get, and all these other things.
Yes.
So it's tough.
And
You
and
wanna take
I
that
mean,
side, like, out completely.
exactly, and it's like Ash is saying is it doesn't mean no one can do it. There's some couples who are great at it. That dynamic works, and to, to each their own, and all applause to them because it is hard. And just like Ash was saying, it's like at least for me, the man I'm with now and my ex, who I was with, coaches, bodybuilders, we work from home. We, my ex actually and I owned a team together, and that was even the worst decision that we can make because literally there was no separation, there was no balance, there was no just us time away from this world. And I, I'd say I learned from my mistakes because going into this, I made it very apparent. I even told him, hey, if we do this, we have to be able to separate that. We have to separate us as a relationship and us as a coach and client, which we did very well. But like I said, we don't have a 9 to 5. We don't have that separation. Maybe we go to the gym at different times, but we don't, not see each other for days on or hours on end and then catch up at the end of the day. It's really just, in it. And it doesn't mean that we don't love it, but it's just like we all have what we want out of this as far as, as a coach, as a client, as a significant other, what roles that each of us play. And I think everyone has their own personal experience and opinion on this, but just now from my experience and like what Ash is saying, I don't recommend it. But again, if you and your significant other can nail it and it's a good dynamic, then all power to you. But for myself and obviously for Ash, we've been through it and it's just not up our alley. But again, Ash and I are very, very well immersed in this industry. We coach, we go to shows, we compete. I'd say 70% of the year. So really it's all time consuming. Now, if you just compete here and there and it's just kind of for fun, then maybe it is fun to do it with your significant other. But again, it's all subjective.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and it's gonna be that way for anybody, and some people, it's just a trust thing, they just trust their significant other, and, that's just something that's comforting to them, and that's totally fine. It was great for us for, like, the first 2 years um, whenever I was just I wasn't a pro. I was just an amateur. I did like 2 shows a year. And it was great. And then after that, but I also had a normal job. I worked at a chiropractic
Mm-hmm.
office, and I was away from him, and he was, a GM at a gym that he was there sometimes until 8, 9 p.m. So we wouldn't see each other all day. So for me in that situation, it was totally fine. But whenever I started coaching, and then he started coaching, and then it was all about bodybuilding, and it was, we never had a break away from that. Um, we would have to, when we would get really stressed out, I would be like, we need a break and a vacation. Like, we need to leave and go somewhere and like go on a road trip or do something, because we would start getting to that point where we were like, both feeling just distant from each other. And then also not only
Mm-hmm.
distant, but just like we could tell like we were bickering more, and just like things were getting on our nerves more and all that kind of stuff. And it's because we didn't have that, like, that me time, either with ourselves or us apart. It was just like we were always together, or if we were together, we weren't actually spending like us time together. So it
Yeah.
was tough. It was definitely a challenge. And it is something that I just don't recommend if you're like deep in it, or if like you don't really get that time away from each other, because it can get a
Mm-hmm.
little bit overwhelming for some people. And you want to keep anything, I always say everything in moderation, everything. So if you
Yes.
want something to be, healthy, and you want, something to, if you don't want to like, crash and burn, then, moderation for everything, which is why, even with me, because bodybuilding is such a huge part of my life, I started noticing that I was getting burnt out, competing so much. It was just something that was really weighing on me and was hard. So yeah, I mean, I totally am with you 100%. And just with both of our experiences and how, deep we're into it, I do agree with you. And I think that you made a really good decision. I think it's going to help you, not only your relationship, but I think it's going to help you, going forward, just not being able to have that support system from him, and then being able to have that support system from your coach. So I'm really excited for you.
Exactly what. Thank you, Tony. I know you were the first to know everything, so not a surprise to you. But
I'm
but that is,
special.
you are special. That you are. But yeah, so that's the news. That's the tea on what's going on with me and Ash. So that's always, we just want to catch up. You guys just kind of tune into us conversating, since we literally made this podcast so that we would commit to catching up every week.
Exactly.
Um, but we'll go ahead and dive into the hot topic that everyone always wants to ask about, which is, breast augmentation, our experiences, and obviously a lot of people's questions. So I'll just dive into, the first topic that a lot of bikini competitors ask is, does it matter when competing? Does it matter to the judges? Is it something that you either get docked for or don't? I would say, in layman's terms, the fact that you have a breast augmentation doesn't matter to the judges. It's they're not going to be like, oh, she has implants, so 1 point given to her. It's not that, but I will say having breasts does add symmetry and shape to you, and that I don't want anyone to go and get a breast augmentation just so that they get a one-up leg on competing, but it does give you more balance. You just have a little bit of fullness up top, because a lot of women do lose their breasts in a prep, and then sometimes they never get it back in an off season. So for me, for instance, I had negative A's. I had no boobies whatsoever my whole life. So when I started competing, I didn't have boobs. I was just growing a lot of muscle. And for me, I never wanted to lose my feminine aspect. I wanted feminine features. I still wanted, a good curvy body. So I wanted a breast augmentation in 2016, 2017. I gave myself a whole year before getting it. I said, okay, today I really want these. I'm going to revisit this again in 1 year. And if I still really want these, I'm going to get them, because it's not something that you want to make as an impulse decision. And so a year later, again, I'm just growing more muscle, more muscle. I didn't want to lose those feminine aspects. So a year later, I said, okay, I want to get these boobies. And I did. Well, my first pair. And we'll go into the second pair later. But me and my boobies. So what, I mean, yeah, what's your view, perspective on if it matters when competing?
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, I went to the Olympia 3 times with yeah, 3 times. I'm like, "When did I get my boobs done?" 3 times with, just, just padding pretty much. I had no boobs, just padding. It was it's actually funny because even though I literally had probably an A or, like, the smallest B that to ever exist, um I had a pretty good amount of tissue, I would say, that I was able to whenever I stuffed my swimsuit for the or my bikini for the stage, when I would stuff that, I would be able to look like I actually had fake boobs. Like people always thought I had fake boobs, which is so weird because I did not have any. Like if I wore a sports bra, it was like flat, 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 like nothing.
No, but
Um
you stuffed it so well. Like you could have fooled me. If I didn't know you, I'd be like, she definitely has implants.
Yeah, people always said that. They would message me like in my if I was posting like a photo of me on stage, like they would ask like what my implant size was and I was like, "Oh my gosh, it's just padding." But it was a lot of padding. Like if you saw the and it's not padding, it's the stuffing. So it was like a bunch like, you can take stuffing out of like a stuffed animal or like a pillow or whatever, and I would just stuff it as to the freaking gills and then I would tie it really tight and then I would like pull like the tissue out to where it looked like I still had, some tissue. Some people don't have that ability though. I will say I was very fortunate that I did have some breast tissue still. Even though I was like stage lean, I still had some breast tissue to where like whenever I would stuff my top, it kind of looked like, I had implants.
Hmm.
But I didn't. And it never made a difference. It never made a difference. I was told by maybe 1 or 2 judges throughout, all the times that I competed that it could help.
Hmm.
But, it's nothing like that you need them or this is and some of the times I would win and they would say, this is really the only thing that I would think that could, help you get to the next level. But they never said, the word surgery or, implants. They just said my upper chest. Like they would always talk about like, I think that if you had a little bit fullness to your upper chest, things like that. And so I kind of like, put the pieces together myself and was just like, okay, well maybe if I, had that, but I've always wanted them before I even competed. So that was not a reason that I got them. I've
Hmm.
wanted to get my boobs done since I was in high school. I just couldn't afford it. That was the only reason that I never got them done. And another reason was because I've never had a surgery before. So I was actually scared to go under. Um, that
Aw.
was a that was like a huge thing for me. Like I would like say I saved up money, I paid for it, all in full. I told myself I didn't want to like put it on a card or anything like that. I told myself like when I have the funds to be able to pay for it all up front, then I will do that. So, and then whenever the first time I did have the money up front, I canceled. How many times did I cancel my appointment? I think I canceled it like
Like
4 times.
3, yeah. And I'm like, I'm over here like I referred her to my doctor and they're like, your best friend keeps canceling. I'm like, yeah, yeah, I know. She's competing right now. Just let her have her moment. She'll come. I was like, she paid in full. It's not like she's gonna ask for her money back. I'm like, she's
Yeah,
coming, don't worry.
I really, really wanted to like, I just kept pushing it back. I don't know. I was just like, no, not yet, not yet. I just knew the recovery process and all of that, which we'll get into, but um, I just couldn't really get away from the stage and it was just tough for me to like know that I'm going to be taking downtime and then the surgery part of it going under was scary for me. So a lot of it was like just me in my head, but I've always really wanted them and I agree with you on the femininity side, like keeping your femininity, especially when you grow muscle, especially because I naturally just have, more traps. It's just the
Mhm.
way that my, genetics are and how I grow tissue and training wrong, upper body for a long time because when I first started training, I didn't really have proper guidance or anybody to tell me like this is right, this is wrong. So that was another reason that my, upper body and my traps grew like more. So like I don't know, I just like always felt like I had a bigger upper body. My biceps grow really fast, my triceps grow really fast. My shoulders though are stubborn. So I will say that because I do have more muscle up top, I always wanted to keep that femininity by having, get my boobs done and stuff like that. So it took me a while. I mean, it took me a while to actually like go through with it, but I will say I am obsessed with them. And all the judges have agreed that it does add more shape to my frame, which I was hoping for. That was the main reason that I did it. I don't look back and be like, ooh, I had bad shape before. I didn't think that I looked bad, without them. I didn't think that, I'm going to do this for a better placing. That's not why I did it. I've always wanted them. I just wanted to look feminine, and that was really the main reason for me, was that I just wanted to keep that femininity while I was really lean, and while I'm growing muscle tissue. That was like the main reason that I got them. And when I was in high school, I always just wanted them. All my best friends had them, and I was jealous. Like, I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe like their
Oh,
parents are getting them. I know, I was always like for their like 17th 18th birthday, they were all getting their boobs done. I was like, oh my god, I'm so jealous. So
I don't
I
know
never.
anybody from my high school who got them like at least that young. I don't know anybody.
Yeah, yeah, they would get them like either right out of high school, or I had like a few people that were getting them a couple years after that. But yeah, I was always so jealous. I was like, oh my god, I wish I could get them.
Well, now you've got them and they're beautiful.
Jed, I
Uh,
love them.
I love them. I was the first to see them.
But yes, I did go to
Uh,
San Diego. I flew all the way over to San Diego, and I went to
yes.
Marissa's doctor, Dr.
Prime
Chow.
plastic surgery, Dr. Chow. Guys, he is a freaking amazing. I'll just dive into like how to pick a surgeon and what to look for is you want to go to a surgeon who understands your vision for your breast. You don't want a surgeon who's going to tell you what he thinks. Like, yes, you want their opinion and their expertise, but they need to be able to listen to you, because at the end of the day, you're altering your body. So the first and foremost thing is, when you go to surgeon, you're gonna have pictures of girls that you like in their breasts and what you want it to look like, and then they should start explaining, okay, this is the ideal profile. This is the ideal CC, as far as what they think. And then obviously, when they go in, sometimes that changes. So your pec pockets may be different sizes. So your implants might be different sizes just to bring that symmetry. When they go in, sometimes, for instance, I really wanted 510 cc's. That's the size of mine. But he said, if I go in and I can't fit 510, I might have to give you 490, 480. And I was like, no, please give me 510. So they'll know. I woke up obviously like half awake, like fully drugged off of the anesthesia and whatnot. And all I remember saying was like, "What size are they?" And I'm like so out of it. And the nurse goes, 510, sweetie. I said, perfect, great. I'm gonna go back to
I can go
bed
lay in my peace now.
now. I'm so happy with these big kahunas on my chest. Thank you.
The melons, I love them.
And the but that's how you should choose your surgeon. Obviously, like with Ash, she had me and she asked me questions about him. So like, obviously, if you have a friend or family member who's gone to a specific surgeon, ask them anything and everything. There's no stupid or dumb question when it comes to this. Like I said, you're altering your body. You need to ask every question and be very, very comfortable with the surgeon.
Yeah, the only reason that I was comfortable was because I had Marissa there, and she was like guiding me and helping me through everything. I'm telling you guys right now, I don't even know if I would have went through with it if I didn't have her. It was either gonna be her surgeon, and she was gonna take care of me, or I was gonna go to my mom's, someone that she knew in Dallas, and then my mom was gonna take care of me. So I was like, okay, either way, I'm gonna be in really good hands. So I was, relieved about that. But the process was way easier than what I thought. I'm not even kidding you guys. Like, if you're thinking about doing it, literally they put like the IV in you, and they say, he called it tequila.
What it Yeah. What was it,
He's
tequila? He was like, was that what he called it?
Yes, he goes, okay, we're gonna give you the tequila shot now, and you're gonna be relaxed. Just imagine you laying, on a beach somewhere, and like, they have like all these like surgeon like super bright lights like in your face.
Yeah,
And
yeah, I remember.
he's like, just imagine these lights are the sun. And I was like, oh my God, like trying not to laugh. And then he's like, okay, now we're gonna give you I think he said we're gonna add a little bit of Tabasco. I think that's
Yeah,
what
like
he
the
said.
spicy. He's like, because whatever they put in the IV, it like it kind of zings. It's like cold. So he's like, it's gonna be spicy. I was like, what does that even mean? And at that point, I think I was just falling asleep. Like I don't even
Yeah.
remember.
Oh, I remember. I'm not gonna lie, it was painful. So he goes, "You're gonna feel a little bit of a burn throughout your body, but then you're gonna go right to sleep." And he's like, "Are you
Okay,
ready?"
that sounds so bad. So it's not that bad. I guys,
No,
Ashlyn has a very, very low pain tolerance, like extremely low. So they're
I
probably
am
thinking, "Oh my
crying.
gosh, my body is on fire." Guys,
No, it's so
it's not
quick though.
that
It's
bad.
like it's literally like a second. Like it's just imagine like just, if you
Like
like say
sting.
yeah, like say you sting or like you touch something really hot and it's like just like you just get that instant like 1 second feeling. That's all it is and you're right to sleep. So it's not anything that's like, that I would do it 10 times over again. It's not that bad. But I just wasn't expecting it because I've never done this before. So when he said that, I was like, okay, it's gonna be a little bird. And then I was like, oh my God, my body's on fire. And then I went to sleep.
And then you woke up and you're like, my body's got boobs.
And then I woke up and I felt nothing. Like I literally woke up. There's some people that say they wake up and they're in like excruciating pain. I felt like I could run a marathon. I like woke up and I was like, oh wow, like I'm done. And let me get out of this thing. She's like, sit down. No, you can't
I
move.
know. No, Ash should be like moving. Like she went when we, so I took her back to my house. So I was paying nurse for like a week and a half. And she'd be like, oh no, I got it. And I'm like, no, sit your ass down. Like, let me cook for you. Let me help you. I'll help you shower. Like, you're fine. But so here's the biggest difference though. So I went under the muscle, Ash went over the muscle. And it's again, it's subjective per person and surgeon. Obviously, we had the same surgeon, but I think also the biggest difference here is Ash also had breast tissue to fill out. So if you go over the muscle, you can fill out your breast tissue with over the muscle breast augmentation. Now I went under the muscle, and my first surgery, it was very, very painful because you got to think my pec pockets have not been stretched like that. So when they put the implants in, I think I got uh, they were small. They were 340 cc's. And because I was 21, I think, or 22, and I wanted to hide them. So I got 340 because I was like, I want them to look natural. I don't want my dad to know. Primarily, I just didn't want my dad to know. And so I remember I got them in November, went home for Christmas, and wore I have a family in Northern California, so it's cold. So I wore like a long sleeve and a sweater and then a scarf. And then like whenever my dad wanted to hug me, I would just give him like a little half hug. And I was like, okay, he won't know. Well, long be told, he has known this whole time, but he just never said anything. I was like, wow, you never said anything. He's like, well, you already did it. So what was I gonna say? He's like, I bonded you. I know you don't have those. I was like, okay. I'm like, I know big breasts don't run in our family, but whatever. But yeah, so that's the biggest difference with the recovery is recovery with going under the muscle takes extremely longer because you're going under your muscle. Your muscle is being triggered and stressed. So it's gonna take a while to get range of motion back in training, to
Well,
get
and they're cutting into the muscle. I didn't get
yeah,
cut into the muscle. So that
yes,
that process alone, that healing process of just like that muscle being cut open, that's what's so painful on top of the stretching. So the stretching plus
yeah,
them literally, cutting into your muscle and cutting it open and then putting the implant underneath. That's the part that's, the recovery and why it's so painful. And that's why I didn't have, that pain. I just had the stitching and the stretching on the
yeah.
on the
So
top.
it's like invasive versus non-invasive. So like for you, recovery, how long was recovery? Like how many weeks till you got into upper body?
Well, I would say so I was at your house for 10 days and then, I traveled back home. So I was able to like, go back home and like, move around and move my arms and stuff. And I was released because I went to go see him before I left. And
Hmm.
I was released to do walking, like some light walking. And then I think I had an appointment like a week later, so then it would have been 2 weeks. Um, he released me to do everything. He was like, "You're pretty much like good to go." And I was like, I
You're
was
like, are you
nervous.
sure?
Yeah, I was pretty nervous just because of that. So he told me, he's like, you can do light, light stuff, but just be really careful and like listen to your body. Like if you're, lifting up your arms or whatever, like just go really slow. Just go slow with your movement. So everything you do, just go, pretty slow and like start stretching, your arms out, do that daily. Um, and Cash was like, no. He was like, I don't care what your doctor says. You're not doing anything yet. He's like, just light walking. So that's why I did the cycling. I did the cycling for a while because he's like, you're only allowed to do cardio. He's like, you can't do anything else. And obviously, like, no running, but on the cycle, like, I was sitting down. So I wasn't like doing anything extreme or intense. Like, even though everybody else in there was doing like really intense stuff, I kept it pretty I was going pretty slow and pretty light, and I wasn't doing it as crazy as everybody else. But since, I had been recovering for about like, I think I didn't go to the cycle until like 3 weeks post. So I didn't start like doing cardio and cycling till about like 3 weeks. And I felt fine. I really honestly could have gone hard. I was just listening to Cash and just trying to take it slow, and I didn't want to cause any injuries or anything like that to prolong like, my recovery time. So I was taking it easy even though I felt fine. And then I want to say about between 6 and 8 weeks is when Cash was like, you can lift weights now. Like he didn't want me to lift weights at all. He said I could do light stuff with my lower body, but he didn't want me picking up and like holding weights. He wanted me to wait. So I waited till between like 6 and 8 weeks out, and I was fine well before then, but I just waited. And I never had any issues with doing pull downs or like I'll be honest with you. When I went over the muscle, which is exactly why I went over the muscle, is because I wanted the recovery time to be quick. And because I wanted a more natural look. And I know sometimes if you go under the muscle, they can look, depending on the person, depending on how much, tissue you have and all that stuff. You can have like a tighter, like almost harder look to like they almost look like a little bit more like like bally
Hmm.
on your chest. And I wanted a more fluffy look. I wanted a more like natural fluffy look. And I didn't want that like, that harder look to my breast. So that's the two reasons that I went over the muscle, the recovery time, and because I wanted just a more natural fluffy look to the breasts. That's really the only reason that I did that.
Yeah, it sounds like, I mean, like, even though you were allowed and cleared to do things, your recovery time was pretty much what I had. My first surgery, I think it was honestly, they allowed me to do legs and cardio after like 8, 10 days. I literally just went to the gym every day and did a different part of my lower body. And I just had everyone in TG like rack and unrack weights. And people were like, all my friends were like, Marissa, go home. I'm like, no, I'm freaking bored. Like, I need to do something. And then I didn't do upper body till like, I think 6, 7 weeks. But my second surgery, so like I was saying, I got 340 cc's and I got 510 cc's, and that was more so because I was just growing so much muscle, and originally I wanted them to look natural, and then as I developed more muscle in my upper body, I was like, okay, no, I really want them to add that feminine aspect, more shape. So I went bigger 2 years later, and that recovery was so easy because, like we said, I've already did the trauma to my pec muscles, both opening the muscle and stretching it out. I've already done that. And then the biggest difference was I got the internal bra. So that just keeps the implants closer and up more, so more cleavage. So I did the internal bra, and then I did ultra high profile. So and then there's silicone, there's saline, there's gummy bear. There's like a bunch of different types. Now, what type did you get again, Ash?
Um, I did the Inspira, um, the Inspira silicone,
Silicone, okay.
I think is what it's called. And I know it's Inspira. It's a newer implant that your doctor had. And I loved the way they felt. Like they were so soft. But yeah, they were just I did the high profile, what is it? High profile ultra or high profile Inspira
Ultra high profile.
silicone. ultra high profile Inspira silicone is what I did.
Okay, yeah.
And then
Yeah,
over
because
over the
I
muscle, and it was, what was mine? 490 cc.
was it 490? I thought it was 500.
It was 490.
Okay. So see, this is like, so if you ever, you guys can go look at our breasts on our page if you want, but the difference is like, Ash has more side boob because she didn't get the internal bra. Now I have my implants are bigger, but I think like by CCs, but if you look at Ash's, hers actually look bigger. And I think it's because you do have more of that side boob where it goes outwards, which I actually kind of wanted. So I kind of made that mistake by getting an internal bra. But mine go more, they protrude up and outwards. So you can't really tell that they're big unless you look at a certain angle. But I mean, I still love mine. Um, but that's basically, per person how they want it to look. And like what Ash said, I think everyone's anatomy is different with how breasts lay, whether under or over the muscle, because we know a few girls who also have over the muscle. But I do think if you don't have breast tissue and you do over the muscle, then you're just stretching the skin, and then they can look bally as well, if that's the little word that we're using. Bally. So I mean, yeah, I know this sounds like it's kind of, it's not funny, but when you get pictures of girls that you like to show your doctor, you also have to get pictures of girls that you don't like. Like you need to show them what you don't want your breasts to look like. Remember, you can't hold back with anything, especially when it comes to surgery that's altering your physique. So you do want to have a collection library of the breasts that you don't prefer, that you want to avoid, and then of course the breasts that you really want.
Yeah. Yeah. And that way he can kind of get an idea of like, the placement and like where they, where they're gonna lay and like all that stuff. Cause I told him, I was like, I do want a little bit of a side boob. And I don't want them to be like too high on my chest. I was like, there's just little things that, I wanted. And to be honest, like without a bra or without a shirt or anything like that, I wanted them
Yeah,
to look natural. Like, and if you saw them without, anything on, they look, obviously they're bigger because I wanted them bigger. But at the same time, if I wasn't like such a tiny human, you would definitely be like, I can't really tell if those are fake or not. Like they
yeah.
really don't look fake, unless I have something that's like pushing them up. But without a bra on or without, a shirt or anything, they actually look very natural. I'm obsessed with them. They're actually perfect. Like, I know in the suit that I've worn, and I will keep going back to this because it was such a big thing, but the suit, the
It
molded top, seriously did not do
was
me
the
any
suit.
justice. It did not do me justice, and I know that. Even when I look at my photos, I'm like, "Oh my god, like they don't look like that normally." So, it was
Yeah.
the suit, and it is something that's gonna be fixed, and you guys will see once it gets fixed. Y'all will see the difference. But, it's just, it's definitely, if it's something that you've been wanting and it's something you've been wanting for a while, do it. I would do it a million times over again. I am obsessed with them. I love them. He did an amazing job.
Mhm.
I know people sit out there and think like they were botched and all this stuff. Like they're actually not. Like, if you saw them like up close in person and like not with that suit top on, you would see like he's an amazing surgeon. He did such a good
Oh,
job, and like
people said that.
on Reddit, yeah, that they were botched or
Oh my
whatever,
God.
and that they're
Okay, so
so bad.
here's the
They
thing
don't.
is you can dress up and dress down as far as the exposure of your boobs in any manner. So a suit can make them look a lot bigger. A suit can make them a lot smaller. Shirt or a sports bra can enhance them or smush them down. So it's like that was the illusion that that suit gave, and that's also like Ash said. Look at any of her other photos or of any of her other bathing suits. They're not that ginormous. The molded suit, lesson learned, is just not going to do her justice. But I mean, that's also like so. Like for instance, I from experience, I've seen her boobs like when she's lean, when she's not lean, they fit her perfectly, and that's something that you also need to keep in mind is when to get them. So you don't want to get them right after a show because you are so small, so lean that that body fat percentage is not what you're going to sit at for the rest of your life. Now, in your off season, if you don't want to get too heavy, you want to get it ideally, a few months after your show, where you put on some healthy body fat. Your out of body comp that you're normally going to sit at for, the day to day life outside of a prep. So that way, when you lean down, they're not overwhelmingly too big, but they're not too small either. So you do have to make sure that you go in with a body comp that you are going to sit at naturally.
Yeah. And, if like for me, for example, like I have a bigger butt, I have bigger legs, especially whenever, I'm not stage lean, which let's be real, guys, that's like what, like 2, 3 months out of the full year that I'm like,
Hmm.
like pretty shredded. And even then I still have muscle. I still have glutes. Like I still have that. I told the doctor, I was like, I really want to be, proportionate. I want to have boobs to where I am filling out enough to where, I still keep my femininity up top because I do have a little bit more muscle up top. And then also I have, bigger glutes and bigger legs and stuff. So I was like, I just want to look proportionate. And, unfortunately, I didn't really give you guys the best perception of that with me being on stage just based off of like my suit top. But if I change my suit top and I'm just in like a normal bikini and I'm doing all that, like I am very proportionate. And you also want to go with the size that you want. Like if you want
Hmm.
them bigger and you like them bigger and that's what you want, then it's your body. Like do what you want, If some
Hmm.
people don't like big boobs, like they just don't. Like they like them smaller, they prefer them smaller, and that's totally fine. Everybody has their own, opinion, and that's great, but it's your body. So if you want them a little bit bigger, which that's what I wanted them to be a little bit bigger. um but I still wanted to be proportionate. I didn't want to be top heavy. I didn't want to look, overwhelming or anything like that. And if I'm in just like a normal shirt and, some leggings or like a normal sports bra, whatever, like they're not overwhelming. They're not, anything crazy. It's just, but it's enough that I wanted, a specific size, and he did exactly what I wanted him to do. And I am obsessed with them. I would get the same surgery, the same size over and over. Like they were exactly what I had envisioned in my head. So I'm really glad that I went through with it. And, if it's something that you're wanting to do and it's been something that you've been wanting to for a while, do it for you. Don't do it for the stage. Don't do it for anybody
Yes.
else. Do it specifically because this is something that you want, and do exactly, what you want because, you're going to be, and people say that when I first got them, they were huge. Like I was even telling Marissa, I was like, I'm so nervous. She's like, no, you're swollen. She's like, you're really
Yes.
swollen. They're gonna go down. Don't worry. And they did. They come down. They fluff. They do the whole thing. So when I
They
first saw
drop like
them,
gravity does its thing, and they will drop. Like, granted, I liked mine when they were like up in my neck, and then
I
they dropped.
hated
I was
it.
like,
I was like, oh my god, this is horrible.
I was like, oh yay, cleavage! I paid for this. But no, no, no. But like obviously when they drop, I'm like, okay, I know that they look normal, but it's you will be a swollen balloon. Like you have to think you just impeded a bunch of trauma on your chest and your upper body, and then the swelling drains, and you have a lot of water retention and bloat in your stomach. It's it's normal, and I think people need to know that because I remember the first breast augmentation when I took off my wrapping. My ex and I at the time, he was like helping me, and we were like, what did we do to my body? And so no, wait, hold on, back up. I said, what did I? He didn't pay for anything. He didn't do anything. That's another thing. Don't ever do it for, and like Ash was saying, don't do it for a person. Do not do it for your man. He did not have any play except for just saying I did a good job. Um, when you do this, it needs to be 100% what you want. And at the same time, like what we were saying before, if you're going back and forth about it, like, do I want it? Do I not? If it's not a hell yes, it's a no. Like
Yeah.
remember, you're altering your body. So if it's not a hell freaking yes, I want these, then don't do it.
Yeah. And there's a lot of, people, because I actually, someone came up to me at the gym the other day and was asking me about if she asked me if I had breast implants, and I said yes. And she was like, can you give me a rundown of like, X, Y, and Z, because I'm thinking about getting them done and whatever. So I talked to her about it, and she was just asking me questions. I'm not gonna lie, guys, I just lost my train of thought. She came up to me. Hold on, let me think about this for a second because it was important. She came up to me and was asking me about what size I got, and then she was asking me about the recovery, which I went over with her. Um, Gosh dang it. I literally just
Come
forgot what I was gonna.
on.
It was so important too. It'll come to me. It'll come to me.
I
Um,
think it wasn't that important. She forgot it. She absolutely
you're breaking up. What'd you say?
coming. Huh? Did you hear me?
I said you're breaking up. What'd you say?
I was just like, come on, it was not that important if you can't remember.
No, it was. Oh, I'm sad.
No, no.
She came up to me and asked me something that I wanted to tell you guys, and it was important. Um, I
Yeah,
looked over
yeah.
because Bossy was doing something, and I completely lost my train of thought.
But
Um,
let's blame Bossy. We have to blame Bossy.
we're gonna blame
We
him
love you, Bossy,
always.
though. When it smells,
Anyways,
if there's a fart, it's
any,
Bossy.
anyways, so I can't remember, guys. Ugh, that's frustrating.
Well, let's just close out the booby talk with that. I mean, that's our experience. What the details about ours. I think Ash and I always get a lot of questions of like what size, what profile, what type, how to pick your surgeon. So that's all the ins and outs of our experience. Now, we're not doctors. We're not recommending anything. You need to do your own research. This is just our experience, and do your own research. Have multiple doctors that you consult with because you want to make sure it's the right fit. Don't just go with the first one. But yeah, that's basically the ins and outs of how we've experienced a breast augmentation, and what we preferred for ourselves, and then you can take that as it is and then carry on. If you want to get a breast augmentation, feel free to always ask us more in-depth questions as well, on DMs or whatnot.
Yeah, and if you do see someone like this girl, she saw me at the gym. If you do see somebody and you want to know more about it, go up and talk to them and ask them. Just like she was, talking to me, and she told me she was like, "Oh my gosh," she was like, "You gave me so much good information." Like she's like, "I was nervous to come ask you because I know some people." Oh, this is what I was gonna say. I was gonna talk about I remember now, breast implant illness, because she asked me about it. She was like, "Were you
Oh, yes,
nervous?"
yes.
Yeah, she asked me if I was nervous about, that happening to me. And I said, "Well, yeah, I think it's always something to be, weary of and to think about because but I was telling her, I said, you know, you have to go based off of like obviously like your gut, but like are you a sensitive person? Like do things, affect you really easily? Do you get sick all the time? Like stuff like that because I don't hardly ever get sick. But my mom actually had breast implant illness, and she had but there was reasons that happened. She had her breast implants in for like 20 years or something, and you're supposed to get them replaced, every like between 8 and 12,
10.
really depending on, the person. Um, but the
Yeah.
standard is 10, yes. And she didn't get hers replaced, and one of them actually like started leaking. And so that fluid was making her really sick. And the manufacturer that she got hers done, years ago actually went on recall for their implants. And it was a huge thing. Anyways, she was really sick for about 2 years and she had no clue what it was. And then people started, coming out more with the breast implant thing, and then she started looking into it, and then she got hers removed and she was better. But like I said, hers were like growing some stuff on them. They were leaking, they were getting into like her her body and making her sick. So because I knew that, I was like, okay, like, she really advised me not to get them done because she was worried that something like that was going to happen to me. And I just told her, like, I'm really going to take, you know, a lot of caution as far as like how I'm feeling. If you get a surgery done, and you put a foreign object inside your body and you're
Body.
noticing things are not right, if you're feeling weird from day to day, if, let's say you start getting itchy skin all of a sudden, or your hair starts falling out, or whatever the symptoms are, um, just pay attention to those things. And if it's something that continues, that might be what it is. And it could just be that your body is just, rejecting it or whatever. But it's not very common, guys. It's something that I feel like seems more common because of social media. And that's what I
Mm-hmm.
was explaining to the girl. I was like, I just think that because so many people, may have had, wanted to come on there and share their experience. It seems like it was like an influx of people, right? Because it was kind of like all at one time and it was trending. But
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that it's not as many people as it seems. I think that there are way more people that get them done that never have anything happen like that, than there are with people that do. But it's just like with anything. It doesn't matter if it's a surgery. It doesn't matter, what it is. Anything could happen, to anybody, and that's just a risk that you're going to have to be willing to take. But I don't think it's as common. My point is, I don't think it's as common as people make it seem as. It's just because it's
Perceive it.
always,
Yeah.
yeah, I just think it's always in your face because of social media. So if that is something that you're worried about, think about like, your life and like, how, are you prone to getting just sick all the time? Are you prone to like, are you allergic to a lot of things? Like, think about those type of things. I'm not allergic to anything. Um, except for like fake metal, like earrings. Like I can't buy like cheap earrings. My ears will break out. Um, and they'll hurt. Like I can't even keep them in for longer than like 3 hours. My ears will start like hurting really bad. That's really the only thing I'm like allergic to. And I don't get sick hardly at all. Nothing like that. I have no history of anything. And, my family doesn't really have a lot of history of like illnesses or diseases or anything like that. So, even though my mom had gotten it, I knew why she got it. So for
Mm-hmm.
me, I was like, I just have to make sure I'm keeping up with it and stuff. So if that is something you're worried about, just think about those things. I don't think
Yes.
it's as
As
common as
it's
it seems.
if it's if that's a big worry and caution for you, then don't get them. If that's going to stress you out more with the risk. I mean, I think any surgery, whether it's cosmetic or not, there's a risk. There's a risk and a reward to it. So you have to weigh out the pros and cons. And just to end on that note, just because within this industry and us as coaches, and there's probably a lot of athletes listening, is if you get a breast augmentation and you prep after, some people have a slower response in prep. Not everybody, not myself, but I have had a few athletes where the prep and the body was just not responding as normal. We still progressed, but it was a lot slower. And the reason being is just like Ash said, think about it. You're putting a foreign object in your body. Sometimes your body is either rejecting it or trying to figure out what the hell is this. So think about it as like putting stress and tax on your body because you've got something in there and your body's trying to work around it. And that's just me putting it in like a layman's terms. But sometimes when you prep or try to do a program after, your body may just respond a little bit differently than how it did previous preps or previous programs. So that's also something to be aware of as well.
Yeah. So I say do it for you, only if you really want it, and don't let anyone convince you to go bigger if you don't want to go bigger, go smaller if you want to go smaller. Just do exactly what you want to do because it is your body and you have to live with it. And you want to
Mm-hmm.
be happy, and confident. The whole thing is it's supposed to bring you confidence. It's supposed to,
Yes.
it's supposed to be a positive addition to, your life and your body. So always take those little things into consideration, and the downtime isn't as like extreme as I feel like some people um make it out to be. I think that you get bored a little bit. I think it's annoying. I think the pain is more annoying than anything. It's not
Yeah.
like excruciating, it's just annoying.
It's just like you sitting there and not being able to do anything and just enduring it being sore and painful for a week or two. I literally watched everything on Amazon Prime and Netflix during my recovery. So it's a good time to catch up some TV shows or learn something on a podcast or listen to our podcast when you're going through recovery.
Exactly. But yeah, all good things, and I highly recommend, if you're going to get them done, like just do a bunch of research and, figure out what's going to be best
Mhm.
for you. And if you have plenty of time to recover and you want to go under the muscle, then go under the muscle. Everyone is, you're going to have different opinions from different doctors and things like that. So interview a few, just interview a few, see which best fit is for you, or go to somebody that, they did a really good job, with someone that, or whatever. And reach out to, people that, that have them or went through the process, and just gather as much information, and you will be perfectly fine. And I promise you, you will not regret it.
Yes, yes, and yes. But thank you guys so much for tuning in to episode 3 of TLL Podcast. We loved sharing our experiences with you and chit chatting and updating you guys on our lives. But we cannot wait for next week, and we will put out another question poll to just see what guys you guys want us to talk about.
Yes, we will be back next week. So thank you guys for tuning in. Like, subscribe, share, comment, all the things. We greatly, greatly appreciate it. And we will talk to you guys soon.
Love you. Bye.
Bye.